Hey guys, it's Miss Mariah.
And I'm Ms Tonya.
And we are super excited. We're going to show you guys the demo for the basic makeup for both boys and girls for stars this year.
Okay, so if you guys ordered a kit, this might look a little bit different than yours, but this is one with more colors, but this is going to be your Ben Eye kit, okay? So all of this will be able to do your foundations, your concealers, your blushes, your contouring, and your eyeshadows, okay? So before I get started, I want to let you know quickly with this makeup, if you're used to wearing makeup, this is going to feel a little bit different than your regular foundation. Regular foundation you get in the store is going to settle into the skin. This is going to sit on top. So what you want to avoid doing when you're putting it on is wiping, okay? So you want to use a sponge or you want to use a brush. I recommend brushes myself, but try not to brush too much or you'll end up with streaks, okay? So just notice that when it sits on top of the skin until you set it with the powder. Okay, so let's get started. So Mariah is this one. So actually, let's go through this real quick. These are gonna be your foundations. Okay, this is a concealer. Any of these can work as foundations. This is actually Miss Mariah's color. So we're going to use that. You're gonna use any of these darker colors for a contour, and then these are gonna be your blushes and your lip colors, okay? Can you see that?
Yeah.
All right, first I'm gonna show you with the sponge, okay? We're gonna start with the guys. Guys and girls, everybody does this, and I'll tell the guys when to stop, and then we'll continue with the girls. So everybody does this. So if you're using this, which comes with your kit, you're just gonna kind of get it on the sponge, a little bit at a time. Start with the little, add to it. For stage, you're probably gonna wanna use 2 layers. I'm gonna use one for Mariah so that she can go out and be part of the world. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna start here and you're gonna go, sorry, around, I won't poke you in the eye. Okay? So you wanna start in and bring it out so that we're not having any lines here. And don't worry about making it look too blended at the first. Just kind of get it covered and then we can blend. Okay, so you're just going to continue that way. Make sure you get into all the creases. Okay, I'm going to switch to a brush. So, a stippling brush. If you look at it, can you see? Mm-hmm. See how it's very, very wispy at the top? That's going to be what you want to use for a foundation. Okay, stippling brush.
And some of you may have a stippling sponge in your kit. Would that do the same thing, Ms. Tonya?
Too rough.
Too rough, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So don't use the stippling sponge.
Yep. Okay, so circles, hold at the end of the brush. You don't want to push really hard. You want to have a light hand. Okay, and you're just going to brush back and forth and do circles. If you get it on the lips, don't worry, you can wipe it off later. Okay, once you kind of get it everywhere, and I would recommend, especially for stage, to kind of do a coat over the eyes. Do that at the very end when most of the product is off of the brush. So the nice thing about a stippling brush, if you get one, this is on Amazon, you can get it for like $6. You can go to Walgreens. You can get the same kind, and Eco, I think it's called, and they're pretty decent. Once you get the product everywhere, then you're just gonna go into circles until it looks even. And then you're gonna come around the chin. You wanna make sure you brush down and out. Okay, we don't want any lines. Now, the important thing is if you get to this point and this color isn't the same color as her neck, you've got a color that is too dark. Okay, if one of these colors don't match perfect, you can mix a couple to get the right shade. So kind of play around with it. Go and look up. Your eyes look up. Do you feel awkward yet, Mariah?
This is good.
So Ms. Tonya, what should they do if they're wearing facial hair? Like if they're applying facial hair, should they do this step and then put on the facial hair, or put on the facial hair and then do this step?
With the facial hair, I was told that we need to have a very clean face. So what you can do is you can apply all of this and you can stop right here at the cheek.
Okay.
And then the contouring might be a little bit different as well, depending on where your facial hair starts. So you can either do it all and wipe it off and then blend it before you put the facial hair on, or you can stop right here and then do circular motions to kind of blend.
Perfect.
To keep that skin clean.
And Mariah, look up so we can see how it matches your neck. Look all the way up. Perfect.
Seamless lines. Same with the hairline. And that's what circles. So even if you're using your brush, once you get it on, you're still going to want to do circles if you're using the sponge. Okay, so for concealer, I'm going to use the same color because it's the lightest color I have, but if you're a darker color, you want to go just one shade lighter for your concealer. Concealer is going to go under the eyes. If you're one of the younger ones, you may not need to do this step, okay? So this is kind of an optional step. But what you want to do, if you have any dark circles under here, you're going to want to just make a triangle, okay? I like to use a brush like this for concealer. You can also use one that is flat, about this size but completely flat, so that's up to you. If you want to use the sponge, I would use this end. And it's always a very light touch. You don't want to push and drag, or it's not going to be very even, okay? So you want to just lightly go under. And what this triangle is going to do is it's going to brighten up and get rid of any dark circle lines. So what you want to avoid is putting concealer right on there. You want to blend it out. The stage lights are they're not very forgiving. So I would recommend, like I said before, to do 2 layers of foundation.
For guys and girls.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing I like to do is take a foundation brush and just kind of blend that line. And I am using a very, very light touch. Like I'm barely touching her face when I blend. Now this foundation, if you have any blemishes or anything, should cover them quite a bit, but if you need a little extra, you know, you just kind of take the concealer and just sort of dab. Contouring. Pay attention. This is the tricky part. Okay, so when you're doing contouring, the whole purpose is to make it look like you have cheekbones. So your top of your cheeks need to pop, and in the underneath part of your cheek needs to kind of go in, but you don't want to look, don't look dead either, okay? So you're gonna take 1 or 2 shades darker. So if you're a light, don't use this, okay? So I'm going to go up 1 shade darker than what she is. If you're using the sponge, use the skinny part, okay? And you're going to fill for the cheekbone, okay? If you put your finger, you'll be able to fill where it kind of goes under. This is the top of her cheekbone. This is right underneath. You don't want to go down here, and you don't want to do a straight line. You want to go right underneath, okay? And you're going to follow that line. Just a little bit. I'm barely putting, you don't need a lot. Okay? Now with this, you'll want to scrunch the sponge with no product and blend. Okay? Otherwise, you want to use a brush that has a bit of a point at the top. So if you can see that. Okay? It kind of comes shorter to taller. Okay, you're going to go straight in. And you're going to do circular motions up toward the mouth and back. If you go down, you're going to bring that product down into the jawline. What you want to do is bring it up into the cheek. Okay, very, very light, very small circles. goes too far over, just feel free to use your finger to get some product off. I would probably, depending, I would maybe do 2 layers of this as well. I'm not gonna do it on her because she has to leave, and like I said, we don't want to scare her vocal teacher. Okay, so you want to leave that color there, okay? I'll go on, since I'm on this side, and I'll go ahead and do the blush on top. So the blush, if you're using the sponge, I would go on her. I'm gonna go the darker one, okay? So it kind of depends. I would only go with this really bright one on probably the darker skin. So take a spot that doesn't have product on it, okay? And then you're gonna fill the top of her cheekbone. So go like this, Mariah. So you can kind of see the apple of her cheekbone, okay? You don't want to do a big circle, but you want to put most of the product. You want to start here and move back. Where the contouring, we started here and moved forward. This one we're going to go here and move back, okay? And then again, you'll take a part with no product on it to blend. Otherwise, I would take another brush. You can either use, if you only have one brush, because this one has a point too, you can either take the side of it. So if you use this part to contour, you can then do it like this, or you can get a completely different brush. Totally up to you. Again, light touch, circular motions, and back. Don't be afraid to use your fingers too. Just keep it light and always use your ring finger, because you can't be too, it's a weaker finger, either that or your pinky. They're weak, so you're not going to push too hard. And just keep doing really, I'm barely touching her with my brush. And you just keep doing circular motions until you get it blended. Once you kind of get the amount of product on there, you can take, you know, kind of wipe some product off, and then just do big circles to blend the two. Look forward. All right, let's do the other side. So you can see the difference here without the contour, right?
Oh, wow. Look right at the camera, Maria. Do you see how you can see one of your cheekbones much better? Perfect. Okay. That's why we contour.
So boys, just a little bit less blush. Do the contour the same, but a little bit less blush. And I would probably say for you guys, use I would maybe mix the pink and the brown and make it a little bit more of a neutral blush. So I'd probably mix those two. Okay, so if you feel like you've gone down too far, okay, right here, and just take the foundation, your stippling brush, and correct it, okay? You don't need to wipe off the whole face and do it again. That's the beauty about doing layers. If you start with a little, you can always layer and correct pretty easily. So if you find that it's too stark here, just do circles and blend it. Yes? Okay. So that is the face. So I'll give you an idea of what blending these two. So I would probably find the amount. So you can kind of see how that makes it more neutral for the guys. That's a lot, but then it's not so pink. Because you want the cheekbones to stand out, but you don't want to look like you have makeup on. Right? Okay. Right. So, eyes. Okay, so if you don't have any brushes, you can do this with your finger. I do very much recommend getting 3 different kinds of brushes for the eyes. Okay? One is going to be a kind of brush that you put the base color on all over the lid. Okay? It can be like this, it can be flat. The next one is for the crease, just like contouring, you want that point. Okay, where it comes up. And then you want something to blend. Okay, the blending brush, you always need to make sure it has no product on it so you can blend 2 colors together. So the first thing you're gonna do, guys and girls, so I would probably take this color for a base color for eyeshadow. Now if you want, you can use regular eyeshadow, but again, you can also use this. Okay, so if you're doing it on yourself, you're gonna raise your eyebrows, okay, and close one eye. That's gonna give you a nice flat surface. If you are doing it on somebody else, you're going to lift the eyebrow to get yourself a flat surface. You're gonna take that base color, you're gonna bring it all the way up. This should be pretty similar, maybe a shade darker than the foundation you used. What this does is it creates one solid color so that when you're contouring, you're not trying to go between 2 different colors. Okay, so that's your base brush. And then I would use for her, so depending on your skin tone would be depending, you don't want to go in and do the darkest color. Okay, but I would go a little bit darker, so I'm going to take the second darkest color for her crease. If you're doing this with your fingers, you're going to take that or your pinky, and you can dab and then blend. It's a little bit trickier, so really I just think you should get a brush. Okay, you're going to do the top just like you did with the cheeks. Okay, so you're not going to lay it flat, you're going to lay it straight on, okay? Now this is the tricky part, so what you want to do first is you're going to dab the color into the crease. You want it where the eye kind of folds, okay? So if she open your eye, you want to see the contour right here. You want to make it look like the eyes are coming out and that's going in, okay? Going close. So you're going to take right here, and you're going to dab the product and I would do a little bit in the corner here. Now, if you find that you don't have any more product on there, if you have too much, wipe it off, take the same brush, and then little circles. Now, even if you have, if you're a pirate or if you have specialty things going on with your makeup, still do this because you want your eyes to show, and then you can do the specialty looks on top of it. Now again, if you find you're too heavy-handed, hold the back of the brush. It's harder to be heavy-handed when you're in the back. Okay, and the other thing you want to think about, a lot of people will bring the product down like this. That's going to make the eyes sag. You want to make sure you're coming up. So anything that goes beyond your eyelid is going to go up toward your eyebrow. And that's going to lift your eyes up and make them look brighter. Is my head in the way? Yeah. And turn a little bit. Now, if you end up going down too far, don't freak out. You can always correct it with concealer or foundation. And I'll show you. Okay, so everybody's eyes are a little different. If they're a little bit smaller, you might have to come up here with concealer to kind of blend that out. Okay, so if I wanted to that, I would take my concealer brush and I would do whatever color I did the concealer with. And you're just gonna draw that line and blend. See the difference? And if you need to go on top a little bit, and you can always use a smaller brush to do this too if you need more control. Something like this, where it's flat and small. Okay, so what we want to create is sort of an almond shape. Okay, point and point. Okay, from there, I would actually recommend also a flat brush. You can, again, use your finger if you need to. I would take this base color again that I did on the very first, and then you want to bring it in for the eye. Don't worry about blending it right now. You just want to get it on there so you can kind of see there's a line here. And then you'll take your blending brush and very, very lightly do circles where the two colors meet. I'm gonna get you your blend. If you really want to open the eye, you can take the lightest color and do it in the crease. I would say for boys, do not do this lighter color. I would probably stop right before I did this one. So again, just kind of blend it out. So open your eyes, Maria. You can kind of see the difference. Okay, so boys, you're gonna have a little bit less blush, a little less pink, and you're gonna put a little bit of mascara, right? You want them to have mascara?
Yes.
So a little bit of mascara. If you have a little bit of pink to your lips already, I would do just maybe a chapstick or a gloss. If your lips kind of blend, I would do the same maybe color of cheeks that you did on your lips. A little bit of pink, not a lot. You don't want to look like you have lipstick on. But I would stop at that point for boys.
Should they powder?
Yes, powder to set it, this makeup for sure, which I'll show at the end. So let me do Mariah's other eye.
Yes.
Okay, eyeliner.
And so boys do not do any of this.
No boys.
Boys, you're done. Unless you have special looks. So, eyeliner. What you don't want to do is take, go ahead and close, your whole eyelid, right? Okay, so you want, again, keep that almond shape because what that does is it opens up the eye. Instead of makeup can make you look brighten up or it can kind of droop. So you want to keep that same line as we did with the contouring and you want to bring it up and follow. I would say for stage, unless you're doing a look where you need wings or a special look, I would stop right here, okay? So you're gonna lift, if you're doing it yourself, I would, don't lift too much, but I would do, you know, get your eyelid as flat and smooth. Sorry, my son. I love you, buddy.
We love you, Declan.
All right, so I would pull it up if you're doing somebody else's, and you're just gonna do, I would start here and go out. Don't go all the way, okay? So I would start mid-eyebrow, do just little strokes. You can also come out wherever you want to stop and come in.
Can I have this?
Yeah, but go in the other room, okay? So sorry. Okay. Okay, so you're gonna come in. And then what you want to do is take a very thin line, the corner. And if their eye shakes, it's okay. Okay, so some people can draw one solid straight line. I cannot. Okay, this stuff goes on really smooth, which is nice. Okay, look up. Because you want to still be able to see the white, because that's what's going to make it look open. But you want your eyes to be defined. Okay, going to close. So instead of coming straight in, I actually like to lay it flat. You want to go right above the lash line, and that's why I'm pulling this up, so that I can get right to the lash line. Now when you're putting it on, it looks thick, but because I'm pulling her eyelid up, when I let go, it's not as thick. Look up. Okay. Now one thing with this makeup, it does crease is the eye creases, so I'll show you at the very end before we set it, how to get those creases out. Go and look up. You do want to do underneath, but you don't, again, unless you're going for a specific look, you don't want it to be thick. So you're going to pull that down, and I would go, right on top, but at the lash line. So you're almost like you're going in between the lashes. And I just do little strokes. See, and do something like that. It's real easy. You get tissue, you get your finger, and you just wipe it off. So you probably have to go over, because as you can see my little finger marks as I'm putting, oh, here's one thing. Sorry, I jumped. Okay, I'm holding her head still. I'm putting a finger here. That way you have balance rather than trying to hold still in the air. So, usually be standing right in front of them. So this is a kind of a different angle for me, but I wanted you to be able to see it. You can blink, Mariah, if you need to. Okay, so that gives just a little bit of definition without it looking like you have eyeliner on. Okay, if you're doing a more specific look, then you can add underneath, or you can add, close your eyes. You can add wings. If you're gonna add a wing, you wanna go from here, and you want the wing to point up to the eyebrow, depending on what you're going for. Never go, when you're doing a winged eyeliner, you never wanna go in front of half the eye, and you wanna go to about here, and you always, so you'd be drawing like this. Does that make sense? We were doing that. Okay. So if you were to do some color, if you are, whatever show you're doing, whatever look you're going for, I would always do the brown contour at the right color, and then I would add, if you're doing a purple, or say you're doing a green, I don't know what you'd be doing green for, but I would come close. I would still do the brown, and then I would add color on top of that brown to accent the contour. But I would still always do this process first. All right, so there's the eyes. I'm just gonna kind of go, because I have little fingerprints with this makeup. So I'm just gonna blend whatever you need to. So eyebrows. If you don't have a lot, I don't need to do much to Miss Mariah's, because hers are fabulous. If you do, I would suggest, you can do it in a couple ways. You can get a little bit of mascara, or there's brow, it looks like mascara, and you can just color. Like if you're really blonde but you have a lot, you can do that. Or you can draw what you need to. Do the same, I would never go darker unless you're like really, really blonde, and then I would do maybe a shade darker. So I'm gonna go actually a little bit lighter than hers, just to define them a little bit. And all I'm doing is going at so what you want, an eyebrow, so it's thicker here, thinner here. So what I'm doing is I'm just accentuating where her line already is. So it comes here, here. And all I want to do for hers is define them so that they bring out her eyes. If I were coloring them, if hers were really, really light, I would probably do this. And then I would add like either a mascara or a brow. This will color them a little bit, but you might have to, this doesn't come in the kit, so you might have to add this. And then I would actually do like a mascara brush to color the actual hair. So when you're in, like if they have a lot and you want to get, because I'm trying to color the skin. So I'm just kind of brushing it in there. And then I would actually get a blending brush on hers and blend a little bit. Eyebrows are tricky. Some people really like the strong line. My personal preference is I just want to accentuate without drawing. Everybody's a little bit different in their opinion on eyebrows. But for stage, you want them to show, you know, unless you're, again, doing a specific look. Okay? And we all know how to put mascara on. Where did I put it? Here it is. All right, before we do mascara, actually I'm gonna set it, because we don't need to set the mascara. So I'm gonna go through with my blending brush, go to close, and I'm gonna blot any creases I see. You can kind of see how they crease as your eyes open. So I'm just gonna blot those out. Make sure this is a clean brush, so you're not adding any product. Keep your eyes closed. Okay, with this, you want to put the powder. Now it's white, don't let that freak you out. The color will show through. Okay. And then you're gonna get, you could do this with I would recommend a brush on this too, because you just have more control. So you're gonna lightly kind of do circles. You want a little bit, tap it off. Okay, and then you're just gonna dab. So this doesn't have any color to it, it just sets the makeup. I'm gonna do it over the eyes, everywhere, basically. I would dab it on everything because I don't want to brush any of the makeup that I've done off. Alright, go and look up. Look up for me. I would take my concealer brush and just kind of clean that up. You might find with this stuff, if they blink kind of hard, or as you're doing the top, you may that eyeliner because it's so soft. So I would just take your concealer color . Looking up, and then I would set it. Okay, mascara. So turn toward me and turn your head down a little bit and look right here. All right, so you're gonna lift. If you're doing somebody else's, okay, you want to do the top, and then underneath. Clean blink. Kind of wiggle and go up. You want to try to get to the right at the base, so you get, so you make them look more elongated. Link.
And if we're doing a show where girls wear false eyelashes, you put those on first and then mascara, right?
Yeah, I have found that I like to put on a thin layer underneath, then put the false eyelashes on, and then kind of blend them with another layer, but not much. And those false eyelashes, they sit right on the base of your eyelash. Okay, a lot of people want to put them on the eyelid. They're going to sit right on the base of that eyelash. All right, so a trick for the bottom lashes, make sure you don't have too much product on the end. Just go back and forth. And lips, last thing. Okay, for her, I'm going to do the same actually as for cheek. Now you can use, if you're familiar with like lip sense, that doesn't come off, you can use that. Too Faced, you can get it at like Ulta or Sephora. They have actually I have it on. It's a matte, or they have gloss, but it's one that doesn't come off real easy. So if you lick your lips a lot or anything. If you're doing any reds for stage, I would definitely recommend finding a lipstick that is a stain, a lip stain, like Lip Sense or something, because those come off real easy. So if you get a stain, your lips are just gonna stay on, and you don't have to worry about licking them off, eating them off, you know. Otherwise, just use your finger with this. So boys, this is up to your discretion. If you use lips, a tiny, tiny, tiny bit.
Less is more.
Less is more.
To the guys.
Yes. You don't want to look, if you look in the mirror and it looks like you have lipstick on, take some off. Go. Now, when you do lips, don't back and forth, you just. And then with this particular makeup, if you're using this for your lips, I would set your lips too. I'm not going to do a ton on her lips, but I would probably say if you're using this for your lips, I would probably do for girls, guys 1 layer, girls maybe 3 layers, and then set it. Okay.
All right.